Wow. Now this was unexpected. I didn't know going in whether I expected this to be good or not. If it was going to be good, I just did not expect it to be this good because there's the potential for a fatal flaw that I was afraid I was going to spot in the WWE hardcore matches, where it's a trap where the only way they transition is wrestler A, who's in control, starts collecting weapons, and that distraction is all that they use to create an opening for wrestler B. It's a very easy trap to fall into for these kinds of matches, and I'll definitely have to rewatch more to actually see just how prevalent this is. I know that Orton Christian from Summerslam this year had instances of that I found annoying, but that was kind of what put the idea in my head that this might be a recurring theme in WWE hardcore matches, but you know what, shut me up. This match had little to none of that. Even though it was definitely a trap that you could see in the match, there's one man's performance that covers that trap and throws it away, and that is Triple H. I cannot remember enjoying a Triple H performance as much as I did here. The man is in his elements here, and before even going into the match, I can say with confidence that this is at the very least top 3 Triple H performances of all time. And I can only say that much because I haven't seen the other big matches recently. I want to be able to say that this is his best performance ever, because I can't think of anything he could have done better to make this better. The only thing working against him here is the way the match was laid out, and I will get into that as I now start talking about the match. Like I said, the first half is the Triple H show. He is leading the way, and he is doing a wonderful job of it. At the very start, actually, HBK is looking to fight. He's limiting the time he spends taunting. He's actively trying to engage. Makes sense. He wants to prove that he's tough, obviously, because all the build-up has suggested that he might not be. So, sensible start, and then Triple H absolutely kills him with the backbreaker. The impact of that move, more than made up for maybe the average setup to it, and then, once Triple H just makes it all the more memorable with every backbreaker, more and more making his mark with every single backbreaker. The execution is just wonderful. And the way that the execution and timing of this control segment is just perfect is that, Triple H can pause to go get a hammer, and it doesn't annoy you because you know that HBK has a long way to go to recover from this, so that's okay. And I guess that directly leads me to talk about how Shawn did during this part of the match. Selling, very good. Very appropriate. His screaming was very colourful. It's a lot better than something that you'll see from time to time, where the guy takes the weapon strike, or any kind of strike really, any kind of big strike, and the way he sells it is he stares into space and then just falls. It's not as good, it's not as colourful, it doesn't get any vocal reaction, so it's just not as colourful, and I can't say I really care for that. HBK only does this once, and everything else is very much on point, so definite credit goes to him for that. As far as transitioning goes, I'd say Hunter was pretty much guiding him through it. I mean, I know we can't do much more than strike to try and fight back at this stage. HBK's been mauled, that's all he has in him to do. But it's definitely still down to Triple H to cut him off and get back in control at the right time before the attempted comeback just gets silly. And Triple H absolutely does do that. And again, that's just evidence of the fact that he's so sharp here. He's so smart in what he's doing. It's really something to see. And as far as HBK's main comeback goes, this is where judging the match gets a little bit tough, because at this point, this match has so much going for it that I'm thinking, okay, perfect. But, Shawn Michaels makes it harder here because even though the comeback wasn't very good, the setup to it was really well done. And I give a lot of credit to that because we had just finished watching Triple H in one of the most fantastic control segments I can remember from anyone ever. So the expectations for how they're going to transition is really, really high. There's not much that Shawn can do to make this believable. Can he do that? I don't know. What he goes for is a low blow. It's believable, it works in the straight up fight premise that they've been working under here, and it keeps that doubt going that Michaels might really have turned the tables. Has he turned the tables? Has he not turned the tables? You're not really sure. The low blow doesn't really tell you, and then he just kills that doubt with the sweet chin music with Triple H holding the chair. I can't think of a better way he could have done that. That was easily his highlight in this match. This match that for the most part belonged to Triple H, and that was a highlight of HBK's. And it's a highlight that I give so much credit to. I enjoyed it so much that once we got to the point where, you know, Michaels nipped up and started pacing around and no selling and hitting his moves one after the other, I almost didn't care. I didn't enjoy it because it's a weak comeback, but it was a lot easier to overlook because the setup to it was so good. It does get a bit more annoying once HBK comes out with some of the worst possible choices of offense for someone who just got beaten down so brutally. I mean, there's one spot where he literally does a lap of the ring, runs around the ring before driving Triple H's head into the steps. I mean, come on, what is that? Don't do that. But there are a few highlights, don't get me wrong. I mean, the table spot for one. The table spot, this is a very good table spot. HBK uses a good weapon strike to put Triple H in position. It looks sensible, better than dragging him to it or, you know, just weak strikes to it, you know what I mean. And he doesn't spend too much time delaying it by taunting and playing to the crowd and stuff. So, good table spot. And the finish that I alluded to in the last video, I was worried that it would be a case of Triple H was working over HBK and HBK doesn't do enough to make the flash pin believable. In actual fact, it had the opposite problem. HBK was tearing through this comeback and Triple H got little to nothing at all in to try and counter, and then he tries for the pedigree and it gets reversed into the flash pin. Really didn't work that well at all because it makes out that HBK was in a more desperate position than he actually was at that point. You know, the idea that we should get from this is that Triple H was this huge dominant force and HBK had a lot of fight in him, more fight than was expected of him, and he managed to survive long enough to sneak the win before getting destroyed by Triple H, again, who felt cheated out of the victory. That's all that, it makes sense, and it's very rewarding to watch that play out. Instead, it was more like HBK showed that he was just as good as he ever was, and then just happened to get to win because of an out of nowhere pin for some reason that you can't really deduce, before a cowardly Triple H, you know, struck him from behind. You know, it wasn't the story they were telling. It was a bit strange, and it wasn't a good finish. So in the end, this is really hard to rate because there's so much good here and so much stuff that's worthy of a perfect score. Yet it's got numerous problems as well. Although I really felt that the problems felt minimized because of the good stuff. You know, so to me, this is teetering on the edge of 4.5 or 4 3/4, but I'm going to say 4.5 partly because I tried to compare it to the other notable stuff I've seen from 2002. Takayama Nagata is so obviously better. Against the Liger tag from Noah that year, I can't say this was better. I'd say they're roughly on the same level, and I gave that one 4.5, so I think I'll maintain a sense of consistency here. The first Elimination Chamber still needs rewatching. That'll come eventually. But still, the highest praise I can give to this match is it's at least top 3 for Triple H performances ever, and probably his best performance ever, really. I'm struggling to think of what he could have done better here. If he was allowed to contribute more to the second half of this match, then it could have been a perfect score. You know, Shawn Michaels was a drag in that part, but he does have some really good moments throughout. You know, even though it was an unsound comeback, the setup to it was really just a thing of beauty. It really was. And I'd say it's at least WWE top 15 for the decade. That's my guess for this one. So, there you go. A very positive response to Shawn Michaels versus Triple H from SummerSlam 2002. Obviously, next week I will be doing the match that I was originally going to do for this time, which is Angle versus Benoit from the Rumble. So, I will see you then.